On this week's episode of Love After Lockup Crime Story, we got to hear Destiny's crime story. And in this episode, she had a boyfriend that was driving her around. And this boyfriend, his name was Jeremiah. So I was like, I wonder if she's still with this man. So I decided to look at her social media page for an update. And it shows that she is currently in a relationship, but it's not with this guy. She was dating this guy named Joshua Ruger. And I guess he recently passed away and she has been going through it. She said it sucks that as soon as I got Wi-Fi, my old phone started blowing up and the first message was I love you from Joshua. I hate that you're gone and my heart breaks more and more as time passes. I just don't get it. You are such an amazing person and an awesome partner. I'm sorry for any pain or anger I ever brought you. You kept telling me we need to appreciate the time we have, and I wish I could go back. I'd do anything just to bring you back. I need you. Why did this happen? I love you and my life sucks with you gone. Then she shared a few other similar updates where she was just going on about how much she was hurting and how much she misses him and how she needs to get a hold of her man's family so she can try to see if she can get some answers on what exactly happened to him. You can see in this picture here that he has Destiny's name tatted right on his chin, and she said, I can't believe you're gone. I hate life without you. You were my soulmate and my life will never be the same. Then she shared some texts where he's like, I know you love and I love you more than I love anything or anyone. I love you more than I love myself. I adore you, babe. And she said, dude, I hardly ever sleep. Are you kidding me? It's like I'm so afraid I'm gonna miss you. Then she shared the article that talks about what exactly happened to him. It says California State Prison, LA County officials investigating the death of an incarcerated person as an, I can't say that word because YouTube guidelines, but unaliving. Somebody took his life. It says in Lancaster, in the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, officials are investigating the February 27th death of an incarcerated person at the California State Prison as an unaliving. At 12:18, officers found Joshua Kerr unresponsive in his cell with multiple wounds. The staff immediately began CPR and called 911 for medical assistance. He was pronounced deceased at 12:36 p.m. by an institution doctor. The incident is under investigation by LAC Investigative Services Unit and the LA County District Attorney's Office. The Office of the Inspector General was notified and the LA coroner will determine the official cause of death. Kerr was most recently received from Orange County on December 18, 2015, and sentenced to 18 years for second-degree attempted unaliving, street gang act and commission of an aggressive felony, and second-degree robbery. On February 21st, while incarcerated, he was sentenced to 1 year, 4 months for assault by prisoner with any means of force likely to cause great bodily harm. Then on September 24th, while incarcerated, he was sentenced to 11 years for assault by prisoner with deadly weapon or force likely to cause great bodily injury in prison offense, second striker. So this man has just been getting in trouble left and right in prison. It sounds like he's been going around stabbing or hurting people, and it sounds like someone finally got him. Now let's talk about Destiny's crime stories. So she was living with her mother and her stepdad, and when she was only 11 years old, her uncle ended up moving his trailer into their driveway, and he started taking advantage of Destiny when she was only 11 years old. He would go inside her room, he would give her coke and meth and take advantage of her. And that went on for over 2 years. Just like Lisa, it feels like the adults in Destiny's life failed her. Like, where were her parents during these 2 years when he was going in her room, shutting the door and doing drugs and banging her? Like, it's not like it just happened once or twice. 2 years? The next thing you know, when she was 13 years old, she got pregnant. And I'm not sure if there's the uncle's baby or what, she didn't specify. But finally, she was able to go to the police and told on her uncle. And her uncle ended up going to jail. And he was found guilty at trial and sentenced to 25 years in prison. And Destiny only had her child for about 9 months before she ended up signing the rights away to a family member because she was still in a life of crime and she just couldn't afford to support that baby at that age. Then she went into detail about her life of crime. So she was doing fraud from the time she was 11 to 30, and she was doing mailboxing, which is where she would go up to different mailboxes, and she said she really liked the mailboxes that had the flag up because she knows there's outgoing mail, and she knows that there's likely going to be something real good in those mailboxes, either money or some personal information like a bank account information or checks to where she can do some identity theft and fraud and steal some money. And she would just go around from house to house, and she said she didn't give a damn who was watching her, like if there was neighbors or people outside. She would just jump out the car, act like it was her house, go through the mailbox, and she says she saw like brochures or magazines. Well, that stuff's no good. So she would leave that behind because she wanted at least something so it didn't look so obvious that somebody took the mail. She wanted to make people think that the mail still came today and maybe they just didn't get whatever was sent to them, or maybe something happened when they were trying to send it out. I don't know. But she said her biggest slick was when she ended up going mailboxing one day, and one mailbox she was able to pull out a envelope with $2,500 in it. And you know what Destiny said? She said, you know what? That was stupid as hell for them to do. Pretty much like implying like they deserved it. I think that's like the rationale she uses to not feel bad about the situation. Instead of being like, oh, those poor people, they just lost $2,500. She's like, oh, pretty much it's their fault because who leaves that much money in the mailbox? That's kind of what it was giving, the way she was saying it. Then it wouldn't be the show Crime Stories without them showing how they commit their crimes. And Destiny did not hold back. She revealed that she was cashing checks left and right, stealing people's personal information. And she said like checks have a certain thing on them to where you can't erase things like once they're written, or if you do it'll be noticeable. But Destiny has got this down compact. She figured out that all she has to do is use an X-Acto knife, and somehow she was able to like get the names off the check, and she would change the names on the check and keep all the rest of the information. And I thought I've seen it all. I have never heard of anybody doing some stuff like that, but she really got it figured out. And she ended up doing that with over 500 different checks. And at first they were showing like $100, $150 checks. And I'm like, okay, girl, you did all this and are risking years in prison over $100. But then she showed some checks that were like $16,000, $5,000. And still, that's still not worth it. But I'm like, damn, it's crazy to think that she was just able to walk into the bank and walk out with that much money off something like that. And she ended up eventually getting caught up when she went to go buy a car from a dealership, and she said she put like $26,000 down. She got her nice little luxury car, and she drove off the lot, and she saw this cop get behind her, and she's like, okay, I don't got nothing to worry about, I'm all legal. And then she noticed another cop get on the side of her car, and they started to box her in. The next thing you know, she saw 7 more cops behind that cop, and they all got out, surrounded her, and told her to get in front of the car and get on the ground. And they ended up taking her to jail, and she was found guilty of check fraud or writing fraudulent checks and over 500 checks. And I'm like, damn, like, you would think somebody would get some serious time over 500 checks. Like, I can't even imagine how much money that added up to in total. And she ended up getting like a 9-year sentence, and she only served like 3.5 years. She said in total, she spent about 12 years of her adult life in prison, which that's crazy because Destiny's only like, I can't remember how old she is. I think she's like 33, 34, or maybe 32, 33. So she has literally spent 1/3 of her life in prison. She eventually got out. She started using again. She got knocked up. She had 5 kids in total. I think, was this last kid she had when we last saw her on Love After Lockup, was that her 6th kid or 5th kid? I don't know, but she either has 5 or 6 kids. And she ended up having one of the kids, and she ended up having to go to the hospital, and she didn't have any prenatal care. So she already knew it was going to be a problem because they had no history on her. So she went into the hospital and she gave them a fake name. She had warrants at the time, so that's another reason why she gave the police a fake name. She had all these warrants that we see listed here. And the police somehow were able to find out she lied about her name. They showed up to the hospital. They took the baby, and they sat there. And when they took the baby, she's like, oh my God, please give me my baby. Let me hold him for 2 minutes. And she said, the police said no. And she said, come on, this is the last time I'm going to see my baby for a long time. I really care about my baby. And the cop was like, no, you don't. Because if you really cared about your baby, then you wouldn't be out here doing all these crimes to send you to prison and be away from your child. And again, Destiny was trying to, I don't like how the way she worded it, because it kind of seemed like she was trying to come across as the victim. Like she was all mad, like it was the cop's fault for taking her baby away and getting an attitude with the cop. And the cop is just trying to help the baby and give the baby a better life. And Destiny did admit that all her children are not in her custody. They're in the care of family members, which tells me that she ended up losing her last child, because we saw her give birth with her husband. I wonder if she's still married to that guy, the guy she married after SHEIN. And after she gave birth, it looked like she was staying at her mom's house and taking care of him, but then we didn't really see him much after that. So I was starting to speculate that she didn't have custody of him. I always thought that maybe the mom had custody of him, since she was always over there when she had the baby. Destiny has some supportive family members, that she has enough family members willing to take 5 of her children. But even though the children are with family members, it sounds like she doesn't really have a close relationship or really see any of them. She's like, I hope when they get older I can have a relationship with them, which makes me question like how good she's doing now, because you would think if she's been on good terms since she's been out of prison that some of her family members would come around by now. But I don't know, sometimes, you know, when people adopt children, sometimes they'll have like rules that the child can't reach out to the biological father or mother until they're 18. So maybe they have some rules put in place like that. But Destiny has been able to stay out of prison and out of jail, period, since she was released and on the show with SHEIN. So good for her for at least doing that. I'm not sure if she's still on probation. I can't remember. But that is pretty much it, guys, with Destiny's crime story. And did you guys see Amber at the end? They showed her and Cam are going to be on next week's episode. And I didn't even recognize Amber. She looked completely different. Like her whole face was completely swollen. And I'm not saying like in a gain weight kind of swollen, because if that was the case, then I wouldn't even point this out. But it literally looked like either she just got like her wisdom teeth taken out, or it looked like she was like extremely bloated. I don't know, but she did not look the same. She did not sound the same when she was talking. Her voice was all raspy. So I just hope Amber's doing okay, you know, especially after hearing about all her health scares in her last season. I just really hope she's doing okay, especially after we just learned that she was just arrested just a few months ago. But that is it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.